Hello guys, so we are going to be talking about the 10 digital trends you may have missed in digital this year. Now, some of you may know all about them, but I hate watching videos that are like, we're going to talk about 10 things and then you have to wait all the way through them. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk about and then you can fast forward to where I talk about that bit. Which will itemize below. Well, Amber will have that job. And the bit that you're most interested in, you can click to, because this is going to be long because there are some exciting things to say. Okay, number one is 5G. Fixed to 5G mobile. That's the first one. Number two is chatbots going from good to really, really great. A lot of businesses could pick up on that requirement. Anyway, number three is connected clouds, so public, private, and hybrid clouds. Number four is blockchain, finally understood. And sorry, some of my blockchain clients, but flops, kind of, in ways. So that's number four. So if you want to listen to that, that will be interesting. 5 is data to analytics to machine learning to AI. 6 is GDPR forces brand hands. So that's Europe's general data protection regulation and the role that that has had in the US around data and subsequently here. Number 7 is AR. Yes, VR still. Yeah. Starting to feel pretty bad about virtual reality because it's so cool, but the feasibility beyond gaming is proving to be a little bit commercially kind of slow. 8 is edge to core and IoT, so much more. I suppose kind of last year the trends that we were seeing were around IoT, AI, learning and edge, and this year the four kind of become one because they're so deeply interconnected. Number 9 is consumption-based IT services for the win. And yeah, more about that, I suppose more about that later, but reading some of the reports from global CIOs and IT executives about their IT budget that was in CIO magazine, just the last one, and trends in their consumption of cloud, and they're interested in creating more efficiency and flexibility with their workloads and having the ability to scale up and down quickly based on their business requirements. So I'll talk about that as number 9. And last but not least, CEOs taking the reins for digital transformation. And look, honestly, it's about time that this is happening because lots of global studies at the moment are pointing to employees to see digital transformation really start from the top of the company. It's too often been delegated to IT, marketing and HR. And so, whilst there's been a bit of a shift in C-suite leaders like charging digital transformation, I think that what we'll see is CEOs really stepping up this year and making it much more of a priority hire for digital transformation. And even, so that coming from the CEO rather than hiring a chief experience officer or a chief product officer as the case may be. And that is all good news. Okay, so let's get down to business. God, that intro took like nearly 4 minutes. Okay. 5G. We've been talking about it for a while, okay? And if you're a world traveler, it's possible to slip back into 3G zones from time to time without realizing it. So we're 5G, I suppose, stateside, all go. But you will see that there are a wide number of companies all making it possible to roll 5G out to rural and urban locations. So I know that obviously Spark, etc., are kind of been on this project for quite a while now, but moving into 2019, end of 2019, 2020, it is going to be mobile devices, big focus there on the 5G side. So chatbots, number 2, chatbots, good to great. We've all had extremely frustrating experiences on chatbots. I actually saw a post on LinkedIn just there, I think from Jill Brinston, and commenting on Spark's chatbot and the quality, or kind of lack thereof. But the good news is that huge steps continue to be made here in the way of natural language processing and sentiment analytics. And so many, in fact, some believe that like NLP will shake up the entire service industry this year coming. And I suppose all the services that could be provided without humans, fast food lines, loan processors, recruiters, which we're also going to be coping with, but that's an opportunity and going to be lots of fun. NLP will also allow companies to gather insights and improve their services. Some 40% of businesses will have adopted this by the end of next year, which makes it one of the top digital transformation trends. Now, people can be really alarmed by how AI and chatbots are going to affect the workforce, but I think that businesses are going to be really committed to upskilling their workforces rather than displacing people to work or displacing them to replace with any type of machines. It's going to be a skill to how to communicate and work with the AI and the chatbots, and I think that it will human emotion, empathy, combined with these technologies will provide a fantastic customer experience. So it's not about cutting humans out, it's about enriching the technology with the human empath approach. So connected clouds, I suppose this is just an organic development from cloud itself. Companies are just realizing that going all public cloud, private cloud, or data center isn't just the best option. Like, it doesn't need to be segmented out, that it can all be brought together, and often they do need quite a mix. So connected cloud is beginning to meet companies' needs. Amazon and Alibaba are offering private cloud now, or in Google's case, container-based options. Microsoft via Azure, with their 2017 acquisition of Cloud Technology, as well as VMware with their recent acquisition of Cloud Health Technology, also all show increased commitment to connecting clouds. So that is fun for most businesses. This means a mix of workloads running in public, private, and hybrid environments, and this will be really good, and I think good development for end of 2019, 2020. Blockchain, finally understood, kind of. Oh God, this is like, it's so interesting, but it feels so magical, doesn't it, blockchain? As we continue to explore this, though, we've come to realize that blockchain is a bit of a mess. It's very complicated for lay people to use, and there is no standard way to use it because a lot of the companies use it in a different way. So it has an impenetrability that's really hard to get over. I was reading some literature and it was kind of saying that the only way to get mass blockchain adoption is to create a plug and play version that all of us can use and understand. One client of ours who does that really well is Silo. They're based here in New Zealand, and they actually have a communication tool, on the blockchain, which is totally fab. But technology firms like IBM continue to make massive commitments to the potential of blockchain for application beyond crypto. And the financial industry is also looking. However, it just seems like a marketing ploy still, rather than a bona fide technology offering. I just haven't seen the stability of growth in blockchain. a number of the blockchain businesses here in Auckland in the last year, have either closed shop or moved elsewhere. It's just not done that well. And what we see from the candidate side is that people are really, really risk adverse to entering into any organization that frankly is involved on the blockchain side, because they're afraid of the general synopsis that it's slightly risky. And so that is something, maybe the mindset will change, but or maybe we'll have the developers, smart developers, really work on realizing the potential in 2020. But looking forward to that, I suppose. Okay, data to analytics to machine learning to AI. I've clubbed all of these together because of the center of all of these trends, and in the center of the list is the linchpin to so many of these trends in digital transformation as a whole. Data is key. It is just, there's no getting away from that. Has been the basis from the beginning, and it still is the basis moving forward. It's the key to companies being able to make good decisions about products, services, employees, strategy, everything. Like, it's basically business, full stop. And there's no slowdown on that, because there's just more data, which means more can be measured, which means more can be improved, which means that it won't ever stop being relevant. There has been, we've created, this was interesting. We've created 90% of the world's data in the past year. Research is also showing that we are only using 1% of the data effectively. While being in the top 1% is often a good thing, this is a 1% that most of us preaching the power of analytics should be ashamed about. With a plethora of companies in Microsoft, SAP, SAS and Salesforce showing market leadership in the promotion of data being made into meaningful business analytics, there is much to be done. So this is from this particular quote is from a Forbes article I was reading, which I'll link below. But the plethora of companies, Microsoft, SAP, SAS and Salesforce, showing market leadership in the promotion of data being made into meaningful business analytics. There is much to be done by data-driven organizations to realize the power of data on hand and the data that they are collecting. With improved processing power, and this is why I put them all in one heading, with improved processing power that can increase machine learning, we're going to see digital leaders investing in making more of all of their data, and this will be done with machine learning and AI. And their synopsis is that 1% figure will go to 3 or 4 by the end of 2020, which may seem small, but those 1 to 2% increases globally are massive increase in data utilization. Okay, so next one is a bit kind of lawyery and boring, but for those of you interested, in August 2018, about a third of companies are still not compliant with Europe's GDPR, which aims to provide huge layers of data protection for users. In fact, some of the numbers that I was reading quoted about 1,000 US news sites still aren't available in Europe, generally because they don't care enough about the data security to make the GDPR noteworthy. So what does this mean in terms of digital transformation trends for 2020? It means that informed customers will start to see which companies really care about protecting their data. While brands don't necessarily want to comply, the movement will serve I suppose the GDPR serves as a warning to companies to figure out better ways to genuinely build relationships with their audience, as opposed to the often clear misuse and abuse of personal data in the name of marketing and selling. I think this is absolutely rife in New Zealand. I think that there is a huge amount of remarketing that takes place that is very, very loosely policed, but hopefully the GDPR will, really focus some decisions around that. Okay, so 7, virtual reality. Yeah, as we know, super cool, but let's be honest about it. Beyond gaming and various other things, it's expensive, cumbersome, and hard to sell into a board that are not, digitally mature. VR is less kind of, I suppose, AR, which is augmented reality. It's kind of the less sexy brother, if you know what I mean. But that continues continues to be the name of the game in 2020. Augmented reality, it's found tons of uses in kind of enterprise training, workforce training. And so, yeah, while it's not been as cool as VR, it's actually useful and commercially viable. And I suppose that's what technology is all about. I think that we will see an uprise of that in 2020. In New Zealand, there's quite a number of edutech organizations that are on the horizon that really use AR very well, and I think they'll continue to do that. Okay, so edge to core and Internet of Things. Internet of Things is again, thrown around there like blockchain, but it's growing. The number of connected devices is obviously skyrocketing. It makes sense that we need more space and closer space to process the data. The concepts of smart cities and autonomous vehicles have zero, like everyone talks about, this happening, like electric cars everywhere and like smart cities, smart buildings, and yeah, that's awesome, but like we don't have any chance of actually realizing that if the data processing is has to happen in the cloud, because that's just not tenable, and that means we'll be leading more and more towards edge computing in terms of the trends. So analytics and data won't just be for processing; they'll be for processing in real time, and that's the important thing. Cisco were referring to the interdependence of the edge and the cloud as the frog, as they recognize the critical data interactions that take place between the edge and the cloud to maximize data utilization. So look, was their vernacular here, may or may not become ubiquitous with the connection between the edge and the core. The two will have to work together if AI, IoT and machine learning are going to work in the way that they're supposed to. Cool. So number 9 is consumption-based IT services. So much like we saw Salesforce become a heavyweight for CRM as a service, the idea of anything and everything as a service is highly desirable. And the as a service industry, like SaaS, as that kind of grows, companies are becoming much more sophisticated in choosing more of an a la carte IT services to fit their needs, so kind of a pick and mix. So this IT as a service allows for scalability, better integration, the latest technology, shorter procurement cycles, and increased agility for teams. And it only really makes sense that companies are leaning that way rather than a one-size-fits-all like SaaS products. So that's going to be cool to see in 2020. Yeah, finally, in CEOs taking the reins of digital transformation, I think that this kind of is also a little bit nerve-wracking as well, because there is such a shortage. In my opinion, what we see, there's actually such a shortage of mature digital understanding within chief executive officers, particularly across New Zealand. I might get a bit of flack for that, but that's the reality. We see CDOs been placed. We place them, CDOs, CIOs, chief experience officers, chief product officers, only to be frank, to be sold a bit of a lemon, and they're moving on in a year and a half, 2 years, and that's not with smaller businesses or less visible businesses. That's in Big Four, that is in top level consulting, often within the technology space. So yeah, I think that partners in general and the generic kind of CEO needs to understand in a deeper and more accountable way that the reins need to be taken, and that there's a really grave and critical requirement to build cultures that can change, that can pivot, that are able to reskill quite quickly, and that they're hiring employees for agility and for their ability to respond to the market, the market needs. And obviously that all, without banging on about it, all that comes back to data. And if that's not appreciated within the organization, it's not appreciated by the CEO, it's not invested in, it's not held in priority, then the company is really going to struggle. So look, there's one thing I know for sure, is that digital transformation it's not stopping. It's forcing businesses to do better business, and the ones that don't want to come along for the ride are quickly falling to the side. And so while we're in a bit of a no man's land, between ways of grasping the data and now leveraging it, but I think the organizations that are really investing in that will be tremendously successful. So I hope that was of use. Thanks so much.